I was like, it's so dark outside.
I know. Just turn this way.
This is just all from my monitor setup. Okay, we're live.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Well, just like our trips, today we made great plans and it didn't quite work, did it, Rachel?
Didn't quite work. We outlined, we talked to our guests who were going to come on, a pre-talk, and weather had other plans. I wish that I could play the voice message that Hani just sent from Panama. It is her voice, but mainly you just hear pounding rain on the roof and her trying to explain that she's not quite sure when it's going to let up. So here we are, Susan.
Yeah, and that's the way it goes. We make plans and we make notes and we make itineraries, but we know before we get on that plane that it's going to be different.
Yeah.
That something is going to happen to kind of all of our wonderful plans. So as an organization, we have to learn how to just go with the flow and be ready to change gears at the bottom of a hat. We heard from Hani about what time today?
About 3:15. So
about
3:15.
An hour ago, and here we are.
And here we are, yeah.
And here we are.
And it's good because we can always have them on next week, and I think they're excited to come on. It's going to be great for everyone to see Heidi and Leica and hear from them and their experience with us. But yeah, I mean,
so remind us who they are, Rachel. Just for those of us that haven't met them or had interaction. I know that we've talked about them before, but if people are coming in, they might not know who we're talking about.
So the little backstory is that when I was a Peace Corps volunteer, I lived with their family. And so they were my host sisters. And we ended up becoming really close. And after I left Panama, probably 5 years ago now, they have gone off on their own adventures and had some opportunities. They've studied, and they are back in Panama now, and they speak English, and they have been started helping us. They both went on trips with me, and now they've become leads, and they can go on their own trips. And so they are in country, on the ground Panamanian nationals, and so yeah, there's history with them. They're dear to me, but now they've become, dear to our organization, certainly. So
yeah, they make our work so much easier because they can go places where we may not be able to go easily. And I also think they're a great example to the kids there that, hey, these Panamanian women are doing this stuff. Maybe I can do it when I grow up.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And the same type thing happened when you were in Peru, where the plan was to work with a orphanage, a home for boys. And because of COVID, didn't happen. You trained Eddie's cousin, so the books and the supplies. As soon as Peru is safe to travel, we've got it done. We've got it done. And as soon as Panama's ready to travel, we've got it done. And I don't think I've even talked to Paige about this. I have now 5 sites that are interested in one library at a time. One's in the Republic of Georgia, which would be really cool. One's at the border of Mexico.
We talked about these.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just really exciting to talk to these people and know that we can start planning for when this COVID's under control so that we can travel safely.
Yeah.
Going
So
with
I was just going to say, I know that we had a board meeting recently and we kind of delved into a little bit. It seems interesting. I think that we're going to get some more opportunities in the US that we haven't had before. And I think something you mentioned at the board meeting was interesting. And you said that you had wanted to be doing one library a year in the US and that we haven't been able to meet that goal because we've been, so international. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and wanted to share what you had said there. And also you said where the ones we're thinking about doing on a reservation, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Which would be really, since the beginning, I've wanted to do that.
Oh, you and I have talked about it from the beginning, and even reached out to multiple people about trying to work with reservations. And it's hard because they don't know who we are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when I just kind of cold call people, they think I'm a scam.
Sure. Sounds like a scam.
Who calls up and says, hey, I'm going to bring you $1,000 worth of books, and I'm going to train your people, and we're going to do the Dewey Decimal System.
You don't have to do anything.
And they're going, yeah, right, you are. And you're going to get here, and you're going to want. And I get it. But I did want you to talk, Paige, about Volcan, because it's storming here. So I went ahead and got my handy dandy solar powered lantern just in case my power went out.
Yeah, I have one. I can't reach it, but we're all storming. It's storming in Panama. It's storming in North Carolina. It's storming in South Carolina. We ran into a lot of problems getting this one off the ground.
Yeah. But that's the difference too. Is because we're in the U.S.
Yeah,
a bad storm doesn't,
unless it knocks our power out. We're pretty fine.
As long as we're inside, we're dry and it's not too loud. And yeah. Tell us about Volcan and the.
Yeah, so Volcan, it was really interesting because we ended up doing a library that also, similar to one we talked about recently, had a lot of existing books when we got there, which is so exciting when we get there and we see that they have already started and they have collected, and it also shows how excited they are to have the library there in the first place, because they've put all this effort in before we even get there. But it also means that we need to figure out how to get it all done, which was extra interesting in Volcan because we were there, I think it was like windy season, like it was the season of the wind picking up. And so the power went out regularly and we just had to figure it out. And because we were there, and because of all of the books that were there already, we were staying at the school later. So we were there into the night and we used flashlights and candles and cell phones to light up the room. So we were in this room with like 4 or 5 people working on the library, and we all had our cell phones turned on with the flashlights pointed up, and like flashlights set around the room to like light it up enough so that we could continue working. I have pictures somewhere. I'll have to look for them and post them on the Facebook page, but we had to get very creative to finish that library. And it also, we had less connection to the outside because there was no power, so there was also no internet. So which is fine. I mean, we're used to doing that. We've already talked about some of the other off-grid adventures we've done, but it does add a different level of planning when you have to figure all of that out. And we didn't know that this was going to happen before we got there, but you figure it out and you make it work, and you use cell phones and flashlights to work into the night.
Yeah.
And that's, I think one of our strengths as an organization is that we know going in, it is not going to run according to plan. It's not, the schedule that we've made is going to have to be changed because you have a lot more books than you thought you had.
Right. That's a typical thing we run into.
Yeah. And luckily that's the typical thing we run
into. It's great.
Because it means people are really, like you said, they're really excited. They're really dedicated. And but the rainy season hits and you can't get a ride back, or the power goes in and out, or just
the boat doesn't show up.
The boat didn't show up for 3 days. And we were there at the dock every day waiting on the boat. And the sad part of that one was it was the boat that was coming from the teachers, for the teachers, and the teachers did not want to go back to school on time. They wanted to take an extra 3-day vacation. And that's not terribly unusual in Panama. Hopefully it'll get better.
And it's definitely, you see more of that in the rural areas, when like in Volcan, it was definitely more organized as far as the school that we were in there. But it's not that Volcan was a bigger city, but they're near bigger cities, and it seems like those have a little bit more organization as far as the teachers and the scheduling goes. But once you get out on the islands,
at Salt Creek,
it's questionable.
It was at Salt Creek, and the school.
Salt Creek.
It was just plain
exceptionally
and
rural.
It was exceptionally rural. It was a tough place. And the teachers didn't live there.
Right. And they weren't from there, I think, which is also important to point out. Like, these teachers were assigned this location, whether they wanted it or not. Mostly not. Because but it's because of the ruralness. I mean, it's not necessarily what they signed up for when they decided to be a teacher. So it's, unfortunately, I see both sides. But it only hurts the community.
That was Salt Creek, Panama, right?
Correct. Yeah. It's out on the islands.
Yeah. The teacher thing is something interesting because I wasn't as rural in the Peace Corps, but even the English teachers I had didn't live in that community.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like a whole it could be very, very complex or very simple depending on how you look at it. Sure. But the Ministry of Education in Panama, for example, they ship a lot of the newer teachers out, like across the country in another province. And so, from one perspective, it's like, oh, you're not from here, you're not invested. Not necessarily and always true. Sometimes they could still be really invested in the community. But on the other hand, you really feel for some of them because they have to spend all their week. Like, no wonder they will take all the days off that they can get. And no wonder sometimes they'll come late or they'll leave early or they'll, really take advantage because they're spending all their free time going back and forth trying to see their family.
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of the situation.
But I hope that Panama and I think there are some areas. I think maybe some of the indigenous places have a little bit more control. But I think they're trying to get to where more of the teachers are coming from that community, for a whole lot of reasons. It's a good example. They're already invested. and you're not having people who are going to be transient,
Right.
as much. So,
well, and that's kind of how the school that we did on Isla Bastamientos ended up there, the one Susan and I did, because of the transient nature and just how difficult it was to keep teachers in the school system, that they basically didn't have a local school because I think teachers just said no. And so somebody started one, and we did a library there with
that was Panama too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was with Givenser, the nonprofit. It's, I think, still very active.
Yeah, they are. I get their information, and actually there was a school there, but it was one of those where teachers went. But he actually, not only did he work with the existing elementary school, he added kindergarten.
Yes.
And he ended,
I remember that now.
Yeah, he ended kindergarten out of love of the kids. And
he went and picked them up every morning. He was the bus driver. We got to take the bus, which was a boat.
The guy of this nonprofit, it was given for surf a nonprofit, or
it's a nonprofit. He's an American expat,
and he would drive the school bus.
It was a boat, but yes, it was his boat. He bought this boat. I'm fairly certain he bought it, right, Susan? It was his boat. Yeah, he bought the boat to go pick up the children because there was no roads on the island that we were on. It was all walking paths or boat. It was the only mode of transportation. And so in the morning, every morning, and it like when we went with him, it literally just felt like you were just pulling up to the edge of the jungle. And then you would realize there's this tiny footpath that comes to the edge of the jungle, and all of a sudden there's little kids coming running down this footpath and jumping into the boat.
Oh man,
it was an experience.
Another one of those where you roll with it.
Very much so, because
we knew. Well, I actually had seen it earlier on another trip.
It was also very early in the organization.
It was early in the organization, and I had seen it and was just like, this is crazy. But they had a really good Peace Corps volunteer at Salt Creek. Really good guy.
Salt Creek was on the same island as Givenser.
Yeah. And
on neighboring islands.
Neighboring islands, yeah.
I can't remember if I think it's the same large island but opposite sides. I'm going to pull up a map.
Isla Bastamientos was
like a collection
of islands.
No, Isla Bastamientos is one of the islands.
Okay, and then Salt Creek is on.
So Isla Bastamientos is one of the islands off of Bocas.
Which is northern Panama.
Which is northern Panama. And so there's like a row of islands. I pulled the map up to be sure I was telling you the truth. And so there's one island, and then Isla Bastamientos, and then a few other islands down below.
Okay.
And so Salt Creek, where we were, was on the north of Isla Bastamientos, and then Salt Creek is on the south side of the same island. But you can't get to one another without a boat. Because it's just massive jungle inland.
You didn't feel like hiking?
Oh no, I had to hike a mile to my bed every night through the jungle.
That was enough.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I would have loved to do more, but I definitely did hiking. That was
but you have to roll.
Well, speaking of going with the flow, that's why I had to hike a mile through the jungle every night to get to my bed. Because when we got there, we were staying in a tent village, and the tents were all booked. And they had overbooked, and so they booked my bed, and it had already been taken by someone. And so there was another hostel about a mile into the jungle.
Well, thank heavens.
On a footpath. And so Susan and other Susan were like, so Paige, you want to be the one that hikes to your bed?
Okay. Yeah, because it was just a double bed, and then they moved us into a tent.
halfway through. So like halfway through the trip, I was able to move
But
back.
we were squished in there. You couldn't get out to go.
Yeah,
to the
it was
bathroom without
chill.
stepping on people. It was tight.
It was
but
funny.
It was dry, and it was on a platform.
My bunk bed inland was also very nice.
So again, when we talk about someplace being nice, we're talking nice like, what could you compare it to?
You can't, because like the things that aren't nice means that it's just straight up terrifying. Like if it's not nice, it means there's something terribly, terribly wrong.
There's so many analogies going on, so many similes I'm trying to make right now that are going to make this sound like pretty. Basically, I think nice is we have running water, a way to bathe, but let's use that loosely, because that doesn't mean you're getting in anywhere. It means you're just getting water.
It also means your shower head might plug into the same wall that the water is coming out of.
Maybe.
Or there may not be a shower head.
Or there may not be a no, I've definitely done the bucket. The tent village was outdoor showers with buckets.
Yeah.
Water is such a big thing. We could do
Oh yeah, we should talk about it. Because Salt Creek is another example. You could go deep into the water there.
Yeah.
But
that's what their Peace Corps volunteers.
Fresh water's an issue. They burn all their trash.
Yeah.
In parts, I was supposed to go in May with another nonprofit team. I was going to tag along, but the primary job of that team was to build stoves inside that vented outside, because this particular community, they would build their fires to cook inside their homes with no ventilation. So lung ailments and children getting burned. And these are the places where we go.
Well, and that's why we go there. I mean, for the same reasons you have to plan around are the same reasons why we end up there.
And you just, I think, as crazy as it sounds, that's one of the things I like about One Library at a Time.
No, I understand.
And the people that travel with us. Sometimes people get a little,
It's hard to explain unless you've been there. There's, and I'm sure Rachel you've probably experienced this with Peace Corps too. It's not something you can necessarily explain to people unless they've also experienced it.
Yeah. We should specify though, when we're talking about burning trash, that's Panama specific. I don't know about, because
absolutely
does that.
And it's probably not even everywhere in Panama, but like it's definitely in a lot of the rural locations.
Yeah. Burn it up.
Yeah. It's the only way they have to get rid of it. I mean, there is no, we're talking about how hard it is for them to get teachers.
Right. Not really local trash pickup in a lot of the places. So I don't know. It's water,
Panama to me is so interesting, because if you fly into Panama City, it's very first world. It's just very first world. And it's because of the canal and the banks.
Right.
And then
the wealth distribution in Panama is very severely unequal. The big cities are cities, like you would see traveling even here. But the rural areas are more rural than you're going to see.
And that's one of the things,
even some of the other countries that we've traveled to.
That's one of the things I'm interested to see. I mean, Paige and I went to Chicago, and we did that library. But of course, Chicago is a huge city.
Right.
But there's the potential for us to go to the poorest area of New Orleans, and to an Indian reservation. So we're going, if it works out, we're going to go into places that are closer to be a developing country than they are to being a first world. So I think that will be very,
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people take for granted that we do have places in our own country that need in the same way as a lot of places we travel to. And I think it's good that we're potentially going to be able to travel to some of these places and help bring in what we bring with the literacy and the education.
And one of the things, and I may have said it before, but when I was first thinking about this, I thought about my own childhood. And I had a great childhood, but when I wanted to escape, I'd read a book.
Still do that. That's not even childhood.
Well, yeah, I do that too. when things are tough, I just get lost in a book. And I think about kids who are in really tough situations and they don't have a way to let their mind get out.
Right.
And I think it's so important that we give them the opportunity to leave their reality for a little while.
Absolutely. Well, and it helps cultivate that imagination and like just using that part of the brain that probably will help in the future, even because like we've all said, we do the same thing even as an adult. We have that, we know that we can have that escape through books.
Yeah.
And part of that is because we've cultivated that thinking.
It would be interesting to talk to a neurologist. Maybe I'll have to make that one of my goals.
I was just thinking about that, to have somebody talk more about the science behind it, because I'm sure there is loads of information.
That would be cool.
So maybe look for us later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll have to reach out to some people we know and see if we any of us know anybody that would be willing and also has that education.
Yeah.
The science to be able to talk about what brain gets activated when you read, what brain gets activated when you eat.
And and just the benefits.
Yeah.
I think that the ones we're going to do in the US too are really good for, well, when you were talking about books, I was like, well, books are also really good for a place that you've never been, but maybe that you want to go, and that also made me think of some of our board members who maybe want to go international, but they can't for some reason, or some of our volunteers that maybe want to go, but the good thing with the ones we're doing stateside is that now more volunteers and board members who can't go international with us have the opportunity now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the ones I think we'll be doing is in Gastonia, which is about 30 to 45 minutes away from Charlotte, which means we can go spend the day and then come home. And that will enable a lot, especially we have youth board members, so they have school.
Yeah.
So it will allow them to go and come. And one of our youth members, Worth, is graduating this year, and he's our first board graduate.
Oh, that's exciting.
He and Mia are both graduating, and we're trying to figure out how we can help them to celebrate without talking to them face to face.
Right.
So we might have to do a drive-by, but
well, we are hitting the 30-minute mark.
Oh,
I'm here this time, so I get to give you guys this information.
Well, I was just thinking, I think we've gone past our 15-minute limit. So,
As usual.
Yeah, as usual.
Well,
But
thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully next week,
weather
barring
dependent.
good weather in Panama for just that slot of time we need to talk to them, we will have Honey and Lake on.
Sounds good. Bye, y'all.
Bye.